Yeah, I think the important thing to realize about all of these fundamentalists is that they are the biggest obstacle to solving the problems that they claim to be trying to solve. So if you take, for example, take social justice warriors. If you actually want to solve racism, here's the narrative that you have to carve out in terms of culture. You have to draw a distinction between African Americans who are originally from the South, who live in the ghetto, and African Americans who are from the West Indies. Because African Americans who are from the West Indies do very well. They do as well as any other group. And African Americans who live in the ghetto don't. They do poorly educationally, they have an honor culture, they're very violent and all that sort of stuff. Because it's the same culture as rednecks. And that's why Thomas Sowell says there are black rednecks and there are white rednecks. But the real issue then, you see, is not white or black, it's redneck. It is this very specific honor culture that evolved in this very specific environment in Scotland, which was then transferred to the people who were enslaved. But this is not a narrative that social justice warriors want to get on board with. Because fundamentally it would mean personal responsibility, and it would mean acknowledging that white liberals, by not being willing to talk about these things for decades, had actually been standing in the way of solving racism.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and so they are self-defeating.
You'd be admitting to flaws in your own thinking.
That's right. And that's not something that any fundamentalist is willing to do.
I have no problem with it. I mean, I don't understand why people are so guarded of their preconceived notions. I mean, the whole idea is to keep adjusting your approach and keep changing your point of view as you gain more. It's important to continue to be responsive to the evidence, to the data. If you really care about solving a problem, that's what you should do. And we all, including me, we all kind of want to be part of our own team. But it goes back to really that one of the more profound statements in my adult life was, it's not what you think, it's how you think. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you think exactly the way your enemy thinks, whether you know it or not.
Well, and that's the thing about fundamentalists. They do. And it's a question of what are your priorities and what is your guiding star. I think the guiding star should be reality.